Welcome to Front Office Pros. I'm Steve. This is Joe. Today we're going to be talking about 3 players that you should be trading for as a win now team. So we're going to be talking about packages that we're going to be giving up in order to get that player that's going to help us get us a championship. So Joe, the first player that we're targeting is running back Austin Ekeler. And these are 3 offers that we're considering making in order to acquire Ekeler. So after going through the offers, we're going to talk about them. And then which offer, we might be giving up too much. So which offer do we feel is just about right in order to get Ekeler? Okay, so the first offer is running back Rachaad White, a 2023 first and a 2024 second. The second offer we're considering descending for Ekeler is running back Breece Hall and a 2023 second, or wide receiver DK Metcalf and running back A.J. Dillon. So let's talk about the first one. What do you think about giving up Rachaad White, the 2023 first and the 2024 second for Ekeler?
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a really good competitive offer, to acquire Eckler for the championship run. I mean, you're giving up a rookie running back who's shown some flashes when he's gotten the opportunities lately here with the Bucks, and then, throwing a first and a second round pick on top of it as well. That's yeah, definitely something to consider to go get him. And I think it's something that the Eckler owner would really have to consider taking that offer as well.
Yeah, Rachaad White's definitely showed some flashes. I think the Bucks could decommit themselves to Leonard Fournette, which means that for the Eckler owner, that could be appealing to have a guy like Rachaad White. And then that first is gonna probably be a late first, being that team is gonna make it down the playoff stretch, and then a 2024 second. But definitely an interesting offer. If you're really pushing your chips in, Eckler can definitely help you get that championship. I don't feel like you're giving up too much in order to, to sacrifice the future. So let's talk about our second offer. Running back Breece Hall and a 2023 second.
Yeah, this one is definitely an interesting deal as well. And I know Breece Hall is hurt, but before he got hurt, he showed why he was a first round pick and why he was potentially the number 1 pick in a lot of dynasty drafts as well. He really showed a lot of promise there, and then giving up a second, that's definitely could be a good competitive offer to send. I don't think it's like a low ball offer or slap in the face for the Eckler owner either.
Well, I think the Eckler owner would definitely be interested because you're talking about Breece Hall, which, like you said, was regarded as in some drafts as the number 1, pick in dynasty rookie draft. So obviously, he's not going to do anything for you this year because he's hurt with the ACL injury. He'll come back next year. So for the Eckler owner, okay, that makes sense. For you, would you be willing to give it up? I think I would. I'm not as high as others are on Breece Hall, and probably some would think I'm nuts because they regard him as a top 5 dynasty running back, regardless of the injury. But you just never know how a player is going to come back from that sort of injury. I know, with modern technology, maybe it's not as a big a deal. But I don't know. In order to get the win, I think, that would be pretty interesting for me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you mentioned, I don't think it's his injury was as bad as, Dobbins, but I mean, just Dobbins has shown that, with the knee injury that he experienced, sometimes it's not as easy to come back from these injuries as other guys has made it out to be, or, like you said, with the modern technology, we've seen guys come back from torn ACLs fine, but for whatever reason, he's had a lot more trouble than other guys.
So the third offer considering to be made was DK Metcalf and AJ Dillon.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely be willing to give these guys up for Austin Eckler. I just don't know if these guys are enough to entice the
Entice
Eckler
the
owner
Eckler
to get
owner.
the deal done. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, um, Metcalf is really the toughest guy to lose in that deal, but Dylan, we just everyone thought this was going to be his big breakout year. Hasn't happened, and he's still stuck behind Aaron Jones. So yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to give this up, but I don't see how we get a deal done for the Eckler side, anyways.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Metcalf part would be the tougher part. I think Dylan, we're both out on Dylan, so that really isn't much of a concern, but it may not be enough. You might have to, put in a second round pick or something to really entice the Eckler owner to be able to accept that deal. So considering we think that package might be a little light, we don't want the owner to be, feel it's an insulting offer. So of the first two offers, which one would you say you're more comfortable giving up for Eckler?
Yeah, I'm definitely you know, more willing to give up the first one with White and the first and second round picks. As you know, Steve, I'm always willing to trade picks for proven commodities, and I'm not as concerned about that. And then Rachaad White's definitely an interesting player. Um, we'll see what happens with him. He's got potential, but I'm looking to win now, and Eckler could definitely put my team over the top in that case.
See, I think I'm a little different than you. I don't know if I want to give
See,
up the
well,
first.
I'm higher on Brees Hall though, and he'd be tough for me to get rid of, especially no trying to win this year. But then if I don't happen to win the championship, I really don't know what's happening with Eckler. Um, so Brees Hall would be tough for me to lose, and that's kind of why I went with that one.
Yeah, see, I think I'm gonna go with the Brees Hall in the second round pick. And my thinking is if I were to win or no matter what happens, maybe I would go right around and turn Eckler around and see if I can't get, something back. Because I mean his window is this season and next season. I would almost tell you not to wait until training camp because the Chargers could get out of that deal pretty easily. So I don't know what could happen with him. So to me, his window is, to really trade to maximize his value is now until like free agency time, like where, you see teams doing cap casualties and stuff like that. So I'm not as high on Brees Hall. I know probably a lot of people think I'm nuts, but I would say I would rather do that deal. I don't like parting with the first and the second on top of promising Rachaad White. So let's go to our next player, running back Aaron Jones. So we're trying to acquire Aaron Jones. These are the three offers that we're considering. So would you give up Chris Godwin and a 2023 fourth, Gabe Davis and David Montgomery, or Tony Pollard in a 2023 second? So let's talk about the first offer. What do you think about Chris Godwin and a 2023 fourth?
Yeah, I would definitely be willing to give that up in order to acquire Aaron Jones. I mean, this is his utilization right now this year without Devontae Adams in the receiving game, and then finally last week, against a tough Cowboys defense, you see him actually get the amount of carries. I mean, 24 is a lot for him. But if Green Bay is going to trend towards this way, you got to run the ball more. He's already had the receiving work. And then with Godwin, he's kind of a banged up guy, but when he's in there, he's a solid receiver. But I'd have no problem giving him up in a fourth for the impact of Jones on my team.
Well, the question is Tom Brady back with Tampa Bay? And if he's not, then who's going to be throwing him the ball? I think that is a part of the concern.
Absolutely, that's all part of the equation.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's, for the other team, I mean, Godwin is still relatively young and he has proven to be a pretty bankable receiver. He gets you those, pretty decent high floor volumes. Whereas Aaron Jones, I don't really know. I think he's got a year and a half maybe left in the tank before his value just capsizes. So I think it's a very interesting offer. How about offer number two, Gabe Davis and David Montgomery?
Yeah, it's interesting too. I mean, uh, Davis is like the ultimate ceiling play. boom or bust guy. Never sure what you're going to get from the guy, but um, the potential's certainly there, especially with the Bills offense and they pass a ton. David Montgomery, I really have no problems trading him away. But Gabe Davis would definitely be the tough run of that deal.
Yeah, I think a lot of people expected the Gabe Davis hype was real, was really real in the offseason, hasn't materialized. I still think that he's been kind of banged up a little bit. They haven't talked about it as much, but I don't think he's 100% healthy. And the other piece of it is, he still has one more year left with the Bills before they have to sign him. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't take the next step next year. Maybe we were just a year too early. After that Chiefs game, people were ready to be like, "Oh, he's gonna go absolutely nuts." Maybe next year is that. So I agree with you. I don't care about Montgomery. That one doesn't bother. That part of the deal doesn't bother me to give that up. But Gabe, that's a little bit tougher. So I'd have to really consider that one. How about the last one? Tony Pollard in a 2023 second.
Yeah, it's interesting. Pollard is definitely shown, when given the chance and the starting opportunity, he's a, you know, solid running back for fantasy. I mean, and his speed and ability is all there. Um, yeah, it seems like a promising enough player. That's a tough one. It'd be whether or not, because I mean he's another guy like Aaron Jones, can with the receiving and then the rushing ability as well. Um, he's just kind of like I feel like a kind of a younger version of that style of play. So um I don't know if I like giving that one up as much for Jones, but there's definitely a couple other offers I'd consider.
See, Tony Pollard will be a free agent next year. I'm not so sure that he comes back to Dallas. If he did, I would like him even better because Zeke is getting to that point where he won't when his contract is done. I think he'll be done. He might not even have another opportunity with another team. Who knows? Maybe a division rival. I feel like that happens sometimes with a player who's been on the team for years. And then he ends up signing with a division rival. Think about like a Melvin Gordon type who was with the Chargers for so long and then signed with the Broncos. I could see something of that nature happening with like a Zeke, but I am not opposed to this offer. I think Pollard has shown some flashes. Don't know if he'll ever get the bulk of the carries. And you are given a second on top of it, but most likely it's a late second because you're going for the playoff stretch. I think it's interesting. So of the three offers, Joe, which one are you most likely to give up in order to acquire Aaron Jones?
I think I like the idea of giving up Godwin in the fourth round pick there the best, Steve.
Okay,
That I think that'd be the package I'd go with trying to acquire Aaron Jones.
See, I would go with package number 3, actually. I would go ahead and trade Tony Pollard and the second. The second will end up being a late round pick. So I'm not really worried about that. And with Tony Pollard, I don't know what's going to happen with him, and I don't mind. My strategy sometimes is just to flip players. So I almost view Aaron Jones as a rental for this playoff stretch, and I could always try to trade Aaron Jones in the offseason if I don't really like him. And try to get something else to recoup that second round pick possibly. So I like that idea. I'd go with offer number 3.
Yeah, I mean, I the thing with the deal that I chose, I mean, an owner that could be higher on Jones as well might not think that Godwin in the fourth is enough, and I might have to throw something extra in there too. So
Yeah, definitely. All right, so our third player that we're talking about as a trade for candidate is wide receiver Mike Evans. And so these are the 3 offers that you're considering in order to acquire Mike Evans. So offer number 1, Rondale Moore and Chase Claypool. Offer number 2, Jerry Jeudy and Michael Carter. And offer number 3, a 2023 first and Alec Pierce. So let's talk about the first offer, Rondale Moore and Chase Claypool.
Yeah, I I think for this deal, Rondale Moore is a really interesting player, starting to come around and really show flashes in that Cardinals offense. Um, I think boy, I think I'd still be willing to give up this deal to acquire Mike Evans, though. I just guy that's gonna be more consistent, and Mike Evans also always has a chance for touchdowns, which I think is higher than a player like Rondale Moore, with his red zone targets that he gets. The worrisome thing although you don't have to worry about it, you're just acquiring him for this stretch run. Obviously might try to trade Evans after this this year or something with the uncertainty at quarterback, but I that's something I'd consider giving up those guys to get Evans.
Yeah, this one's an interesting one because you've got a lot of potential. You're starting to see it already with Rondell Moore. You haven't really seen it with Claypool, but I don't think Claypool has necessarily been integrated in the offense yet, so we don't really know what to expect with Chase Claypool. Wait, you're gonna say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a believer in Claypool.
Mm.
He wasn't much of a fact. I don't even know if I would be okay giving him up. I don't know. Like, there's a reason Pittsburgh also was willing to give up on the guy too. So I don't know. I'm not a Claypool believer.
See, interesting. I almost find the unknown with Claypool is more interesting to me than the known of Rondell Moore. I think we kind of know what Rondell Moore is based on what we've seen. I find the unknown of Chase Claypool kind of alluring. And so it's an interesting offer. I think obviously you're getting Mike Evans. I think it's a reasonable offer. I think that team would certainly consider it. Because you're getting some two interesting pieces. So yeah, we'll have to go back to that offer. So offer number two. Jerry Jeudy and Michael Carter.
Yeah, this is an interesting offer. I think I think I'd be willing to give up these guys for Evans as well. Obviously, Michael Carter, second year running back, he's going to be the starter for the rest of the season, but his future with Brees Hall coming back, and then who knows if the Jets will even, they got James Robinson on the RFA, but obviously they don't even believe in Carter that much. So do they bring in even somebody else, as well to that backfield? And then Jeudy, he's shown his flashes. He's an interesting player, but it's frustrating, man. He just can't stay on the field. So, I'd be willing to throw those two guys out for Evans.
Jerry Jeudy's made of glass, Joe.
Yeah, and then he goes down, and it just turns out to be a mild ankle sprain, man. Like I thought his Achilles was torn, but it's like no, just a mild one. It's like, come on, tape that thing up and get back out there.
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy's been obviously a disappointment. Come out of Alabama, his route running skills were highly, highly, people were talking about it big time. And he just hasn't really put in a solid season. We thought it would be this year with Russ. So I wouldn't be too upset trading him away. I think, if he would have been something, we would have already seen it. And then for Michael Carter, I agree with you. I mean, right now he's a rotational guy at best. I mean, he's not going to be a number one guy. So he's a guy that's nice from fantasy football perspective to have him on your bench, and possibly have injuries or what have you to have him on there. He does show some spark, but definitely willing to get rid of those guys in order to acquire Mike Evans. So let's go to the third offer. 2023 first, which ends up will probably be a late first, and Alec Pierce.
Yeah. This I think is potentially too much to give up for Mike Evans. I don't value Evans for giving up a first round pick. I know he's, still an impact player, could really help me win the championship this year. But then Alec Pierce is an interesting enough receiver. I get that you don't know who the quarterback's going to be, but he's showing flashes with Ryan. He's back. Maybe he can help along the end of this year as well.
Yeah, see, I'm not worried about the Pierce side of it. I don't think I've seen enough from him to really be worried to not include him in a deal in order to get Evans. The first is tough. I think he's worth. I think I'd be willing to offer this offer, but it's you don't want to part with the first. And so that's the tough part. So of the three offers, Joe, which one are you more likely to give up in order to acquire Mike Evans?
I think I'd go the Judy and Carter route.
Mm.
Although might have to toss something extra in there as well. I don't know if Judy would really be enough to get Evans for you. So you might have to throw in maybe a later round pick, maybe like a fourth on top of it or something, just to entice that Evans owner a little more.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd do the Judy and Carter offer as well. And like you said, you might have to throw in maybe a third or a fourth just as the seal the deal. But I like that package better. Uh, I'm I like again I don't know what it is, but it's just the allure of possibly we haven't seen Claypool get involved in that offense yet, and you've got Rondell Moore on the cusp of becoming something. Judy, on the other hand, he's been a disappointment. So, and I'm not concerned about giving up Michael Carter.
Yeah, that's exactly my thought process as well. If Judy's not going to be able to stay on the field, then it is what it is. And then even for next year, Tim Patrick will be back in that offense too. And I don't who knows what the Broncos' offense is even going to look like.
So that is three players that we've identified for win now teams that you should trade for. Hopefully you enjoyed this content, and if you do, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. We appreciate any support, and if you have any comments, put them down below. Do you have any players that you're thinking about trading for, and what's too much to give up? We're happy to give our advice. So thanks again for watching, and until next time.